The story of Lilith, Adam's first wife before Eve. Yet Eve was not the first woman of creation, but the second. According to Jewish secrets, Eve was not the first woman of creation, but the second. Lilith had the advantage, the inheritance, let's put it that way. Now, who was Lilith? Lilith is considered a mythical Mesopotamian demon associated with the wind and is believed to harm children as well. In Jewish texts, such as the Talmud and the Midrash, Lilith appears as a night demon, while many occult texts of the Catholic Church say that Lilith was the firstborn woman and was made like Adam by earth from earth, so he was equal to her. Lilith is a symbol of primitive female appearance, deep sexuality, and unbridled passion, later transformed into Lamia, whatever that is, and then into a demon or a vampire. And it's a model, she's a model of female sexual demons visiting men in their sleep, the succubi, or generally the mother of incubi, male sex demons, and succubi. Astrologically, it was identified with the dark side of the moon, the black moon, and darkness. Her name most probably comes from the Sumerian Lila Chese and means in free translation the divine woman, quote unquote, and it appears for the first time in ancient Sumerian mystical writings and talismans like Lilake, the occult name of goddess Beli, and we read of her again by the name of Baalat, which is a parable of Belili in the Canaanites. Now, how was she created? In the first chapter of Genesis, specifically in verse 27, one can read, "And God made man in the image of himself. In the image of God he made him, male and female, he made them." And it's clear here that man is created by God as an androgynous, and tradition states that this hermaphrodite with two sexes and two faces, or two Siamese bisexual beings joined back to back. Adam, however, once felt lonely in paradise where God placed him, seeing all the animals around him mate with one another. So God divided him in the middle into two beings, gave him his female part, Adama, as a woman. This detached female identity of the male Adam from its original hermaphrodite nature is the mythological Lilith. However, Arthur Eventic Isaacian argued that God created Lilith from fire and Adam from earth, and that Lilith did not like Adam because he smelled of dirt and therefore left with Satan. Although Eve came after, as he points out, when Adam's lips used to say Eve, his soul always echoed Lilith's name. Other texts finally argue that Lilith was formed of the same substance as Adam, but shortly before him. And number 3 says, but how did Eve appear? According to occult myth, Lilith's erotic desire exceeded Adam's strength. As Jorge Luis Borges mentions in his book, The Book of Fantastic Beings, Lilith did not like the missionary attitude because she considered it too passive, and so she asked Adam to be above. The legend wants her to even mate with angels, so God punished her by transforming her into a snake. It's, of course, the wicked side of her mistress Eve to seduce the last of the forbidden fruit. Adam, Lilith, and Eve. According to another Jewish legend, however, Lilith refused to submit to Adam and be sexually below him because she considered herself equal to him since both were created from the earth. When their quarrel began to peak, Lilith uttered the inerrant name of God and flew into the air, abandoning Adam and paradise to the Red Sea desert. After her flight, Adam felt lonely, pleaded with God, and God gave him a more submissive woman, Eve. Now, number 4, before Eve came, another attempt was made. After Lilith's first flight, God, not being able to see Adam sad anymore, sent 3 angels to find her and bring her back: Shanvi, Sunshine, and Samangalaf, the 3 angels who met with Lilith, who had finally assumed her role as the Princess of Darkness, had become a demon somewhere in the Red Sea. Her angel said that God and Adam would forgive her and want her back, but she replied with hysteria, and the angels threatened to do away with all of her children, which she had acquired with the evil one, Satan, if she did not obey them. Lilith's response was again negative, adding a curse to the children of all of Adam's offspring, so the angels fulfilled their threat by doing away with her offspring and returned to Eden's garden. And since that time, Lilith had also acquired the title of pediatric assault on newborn babies, pregnant women with fetuses, and young men who she tries to choke while they're sleeping for revenge. Now, the Jewish folklore from the alphabet of Sirach from 700 to 1000 BC onwards, Lilith appears that Adam's first wife, was created at the same time, Rosh Hashanah, and from the same clay as Adam, compared to Genesis 1:27. This contrasts with Eve, who was created from one of Adam's ribs, Genesis 2:22. The legend developed extensively during the Middle Ages and the tradition of Agadah, the Zohar, and the Jewish mysticism. For example, in the 13th century writings of Isaac ben Jacob Cohen, Lilith left Adam after she refused to become subservient to him, and then would not return to the Garden of Eden after she had coupled with the archangel Samael, which was of course a demon. Interpretations of Lilith found in later Jewish materials are plentiful, but little information has survived relating to the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian view of the class of demons. While the connection is almost universally agreed upon, recent scholarship has disputed the reference of 2 sources previously used to connect the Jewish Lilith to the Akkadian Lilitu, the Gilgamesh appendix, and the Arsian Tash amulets. Other scholars, such as Lowell K. Handy, agree that Lilith is derived from Mesopotamian demons, but argue against finding evidence of the Hebrew Lilith in many of the epigraphical and artifactual sources frequently cited. The Hebrew language text term Lilith or Lilith, translated as night creatures, night monster, night hag, or screech owl, first occurs in the list of animals in Isaiah 34:14, either in singular or plural form according to variations in the earliest manuscript, and in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the term first occurs in the list of monsters. In Jewish magical inscriptions on bowls and amulets from the 6th century AD onwards, Lilith, 6th century, Lilith is identified as a female demon, and the first visual depictions appear. I'm reading this from Wikipedia. So, all right, etymology, we have it since Assyria and Babylonia, all the way back. And the spirit of the tree of the Gilgamesh cycle, the bird-footed woman in the Burni relief, and the Arslan Tash amulets. In the Hebrew Bible, the word Lilith only appears once, while the other 7 terms in the list appear more than once and thus are better documented. The reading of scholars and translators is often guided by decision about the complete list of 8 creatures as a whole, quoted from Isaiah 34. And it says, "Her nobles shall be no more, nor shall kings be proclaimed there. All her princes are gone. Her castles shall be overgrown with thorns, her fortresses with thistles and briars. She shall become an abode for jackals and a haunt for ostriches. Wildcats shall meet with desert beasts, satyrs shall call to one another. There shall the Lilith repose and find for herself a place to rest. There the owl shall nest and lay eggs, hatch them out and gather them in her shadow. There shall the kites assemble, none shall be missing its mate. Look in the book of the Lord and read, no one of these shall be lacking. For the mouth of the Lord has ordered it, and his spirit shall gather them there. It is he who casts the lot for them, and with his hands he marks off their shares for her. They shall possess her forever and dwell there from generation to generation. In the Greek version, in the Septuagint, translates both the reference to Lilith and the word for jackals or wild beasts of the island, with the same verse into the Greek as onokendavros, separately assuming them as referring to the same creatures, and gratuitously omitted wild cats, wild beasts of the desert. So instead of the wild cats or desert beasts meeting with the jackals or island beasts, the goat or satyr crying to his fellow, and Lilith or screech owl resting there, it is the goat or satyr translated as demonia, demons, and the jackals or island beasts, onocentaurs meeting with each other, crying one to the other, and the latter resting there in the translation. In the early 5th century Vulgate translation, the same word as lamia. The translation is, and demons shall meet with monsters, and one hairy one shall cry out to the other. There the lamia has laid down and found her rest for herself. So Lilith is lamia in the Latin Bible. This is again according to Wikipedia. She's also mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls and early rabbinical literature. And also in incantation bowls with Aramaic inscriptions around a demon from Nippur. Amazing. What can you say? They even had, using her for curses and stuff. She's also in the Kabbalah mentioned. And Zohar, reference to Lilith in the Zohar, including the following: she wanders about at night, vexes the sons of man, and causes them to defile themselves. This passage may be related to the mention of Lilith in Talmud Shabbat 151b, and also the Talmud Eruvin 18b, where nocturnal emissions are connected with the begetting of demons. So obviously it has to do with unfavorable entities, malevolent entities. Please tell me what you think. Have you ever had any such nocturnal, terrible experiences? Most of us have. And we protect ourselves by mentioning the word Jesus Christ or doing the sign of the cross. So let's have some comments. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.